So welcome everyone to a short video by Pigeon Pathways with myself, John, and we've got Ian on as well. We'd just like to do a bit of an introduction video about our up-and-coming auction.
I'd just like to thank all the donors who have contributed. There's some brilliant pigeons in the auction, which you'll see in the rest of the video, and thank everybody who takes the opportunity to bid and support us. Thanks.
Yeah, I'd like to just echo, obviously, Ian's sentiments there, and thank everyone who's donated, because obviously without your generosity, we couldn't possibly raise any monies. And as I say, we're going to have a brief sort of introduction to what pigeons are available for people to bid on, and you'll see the quality is second to none.
So these lots may not actually turn out what the lots are on the actual site, which is Les Green's Northern Premier auction site. And again, we should thank Les and John Crean for hosting the sale on our behalf. It was very much appreciated.
We have done a couple of sort of standalone videos with some of the lots, so maybe if we do look at the lots that we haven't done a video for and just have a brief.
Yeah. So lot one is Mark Gilbert, but as you said, John, there is a video where Mark is talking about the lot he's generously donated.
Joining us tonight, we appreciate taking the time to just have a chat with us. Obviously, first off, we'd like to thank you very much for donating the pigeon for Pigeon Pathways. The money will go to some great events to publicise pigeon racing and obviously try and get more people into the sport. Obviously, yourself is well known throughout the pigeon sport, especially with the Barcelona pigeon, and I think that touched most people in the sport. That video that you didn't know was taken, seeing that, that was absolutely fantastic. So all it was for tonight was maybe you could just give us a bit of a background on the pigeon that you've donated to the sale, if you could, please.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, the actual pigeon we've donated to this sale is we bought a pigeon from Belgium, which is the second best pigeon over 3 years from Barcelona, and he was the name of a pigeon called Golden Barcelona, and he was an absolute champion into Belgium, and he's turned out to be the best breeder we've ever had. Really, he bred me 2 Barcelona national winners, and Southfield Hugo and Gold Lady. Also, he's the grandfather of first, second, fifth, and 8th, 9th Open, the first yearling home from Tarbes last year, which was a considerably hard race. But the pigeon we've donated is a direct son of him. He bred first national Tarbes last year, and he was paired to what we called Miss Gilbert, which was a daughter of 2 international winners, New Laureate and Kleiner Yarder. So that's the father's side, and the mother was she was a direct daughter of a pigeon called Helios, and that won the first international ace pigeon. It was in 1 year it was 38th national Pau, 21st national St Vincent, and then went on and won first international Perpignan, and it was like the ace pigeon of Europe that year. So it's a direct daughter of Helios, the mother. She's also bred a 3rd section 3rd Open Barcelona, 4th section 4th National Barcelona. So she's one of our best breeding ends as well. So it's the father bred first national last year, and the mother is from a direct daughter of Helios.
Fantastic. So how far is Barcelona to you, Mark, distance-wise?
Yeah, I think it's 697. It depends what race point they use. It can be 707. So that's the distance from Barcelona to us.
Yeah, and it's just family pigeons. Will it go further than that, do you think? Will it go out to 800?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, they when they actually come from Barcelona, obviously to me it's 700, but they're actually, obviously they've gone around the Pyrenees, the heat's 40 degrees at the start, and they obviously cross the UK channel. So I mean, they always see. I mean, we put off when they're landing from Barcelona on Facebook, and the pigeons look really quite fresh. So I suppose it's difficult to say whether another 100 miles, but when you look at them, you think, well, they've done the hard part and they're in really good condition when they're dropping. You would think they'd handle another 100 miles quite easily. That's what it looks like to me. But I suppose until you're actually there trying to do it,
yeah,
nobody actually knows, But I would say well, if you look at the videos when we clock on Facebook, they don't look like there's taken a lot out of them if they're right from Barcelona, and they've done the hard part of the early, the channel, the Pyrenees and everything. So I would say they do another 100 miles, but I suppose it's not until someone starts racing them in that distance we'll know.
Yeah. So Pigeon Pathways were obviously two aims really is to obviously promote the sport, but to encourage new people into the sport. Could you just sum up for us how you felt when you clocked from Barcelona that night, if you could? And it was probably an impossible question, but it would just give maybe new people an insight into, because as Pigeon fans, you know that feeling, don't you? How would you describe that feeling?
Well, I mean, look, obviously, I think you get a certain feeling anytime you clock from anywhere. Really, your first pigeon, there's a really, really excitement. Whether it's your first race in, from a sprint distance or a long distance. But obviously, the longer it goes, the harder it gets to try and get a pigeon, especially to get one from Barcelona on the day. And that day, we weren't really expecting it, if I'm honest with you. I mean, there was a couple of early pigeons in France, but they're 150 miles short of us. But I think there was only about 20 in France on the night, and we flying 150 something miles further. So, and that's 20 out of 4,000 pigeons made it at 550. So, and then the channel that day was a light east wind. It wasn't that favourable, although it wasn't, a headwind or anything. But so. I wasn't really expecting it. So, in fact, the only reason I was there on the night is because Troy, who I raced with, was quite determined we were going to get one that night. I thought he'd lost the plot really, and I wanted to go down the pub, but and I remember saying to Troy at about 9:50 at night, I wish I could have gone down the pub. I didn't think I was going to get one. But when I saw that pigeon fold, and we weren't, I wasn't, I was so excited, and but we weren't to know at that time when it was folding whether it was a pigeon from Barcelona or one we thought probably from the next race. So when it landed on the loft and it came up on the clock Barcelona, I think we have a security videos or cameras around, and unbeknownst to me, they obviously caught us up, jumping up and down, etc. And they've probably seen the video now. But yeah, I mean, it's just the experience. You just can't, you can't. I can't explain it really. It's that exciting.
Yeah.
So, but I think generally I get excited any race or race. You get such a buzz when you see the first pigeon. But yeah, that was just extreme on that night.
Yeah. So have you brought this family especially to target Barcelona, and is this family?
Yeah, I think we've been lucky enough to do quite well at all distances, but Barcelona into the UK, I don't think there's ever, people have got them on, in race time, but there's no one that's actually got them the following day of the race every year. So I don't know, after being quite successful at the other things, and having a go at Barcelona and not being so successful, I thought, well, this is the last thing to achieve in the sport would be to do well from Barcelona. So we still have the sprint and middle distance pigeons, but we went all out for Barcelona about, I don't know, probably about 10 years ago, and the success came quite quickly really. Within the first time of trying it, I think we clocked on the winning day, and I think we won it actually. And then I think the last 7 years we've clocked on the winning day every year, which is quite an achievement really. So yeah, and we just get so excited when we wait for that race now because we're competing against the whole of Europe.
Yeah, fantastic family. Go on, Ian, over to you, mate.
Mark, I've shared a photograph of the bird that's actually donated to the sale. Looks like a young checker cock, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
You've obviously talked around the pedigree of these pigeons, which is fantastic. I don't think there's better available anywhere in Europe, to be honest with you. Are they big pigeons, Mark? Or are they small pigeons?
No, they're Golden Barcelona is a little bit bigger, but I mean, not as big as the middle distance or sprint pigeon, but he'd be bigger than the average pigeon, and but not they're sort of small. I'd say medium size, small to medium, but lovely handlers, nice backs, and well balanced pigeons. And I think this is probably quite a later bred that we bred for our stock loft.
Yeah.
And that we've offered here, but he'd be a little bit later than, but we're ready to pair now. I mean, he'd be ready. I was roaring around in our aviary now, but we bred him for our stock loft really because the parents are getting older.
Yeah.
So he's a late bred we bred for ourselves, but obviously it's such a good cause that we decided to give the pigeon to this cause really.
Fantastic. Hopefully whoever's, I'm sure whoever's successful buying it will be successful in terms of breeding from it as well. Lovely looking pigeon.
Yeah. I'm quite confident with his bloodlines. Is we believe in it and breed a few. I mean, we've got breed a few out. Maybe some of his children that come out somewhere.
Yeah. Great. John, I think we've got enough there. But unless you've got anything you need to ask.
No. Just to say thanks once again, Mark. Obviously, we appreciate your support. Hopefully, Pigeon Pathways will be able to get up and running with obviously the contributions from the sale. And the fans will be able to see some benefit to what we're doing.
Yeah, no, great.
So thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you guys for sparing your time to develop the sport or get the sport to younger people. It's well needed, new people coming into the sport.
Yeah, and I think if we could sell that video of that pigeon coming from Barcelona and see your reaction, that's the best PR we could probably have because I think it's an amazing footage, And just one question: when did you realise it was the Barcelona and not from the race before?
Well, to be honest with you, I knew the pigeon, so when it dropped on the loft, I recognised it. So that's when I first was aware. But even though I didn't know it, it's nice to see it on the clock. But I didn't know the hen, so and it is one we were fairly keen on, and we thought if she put her best foot forward, we could get a good result with. So it was lovely to see her drop at that time as well, 7 minutes to 10.
Yeah,
so it's fantastic.
Yeah, and was she quite fresh when you went into the
loft?
Yeah.
I mean, she looked quite fresh. I think when you've got them super fit and you put that kind of performance, then they have to be really, really fit, and that's when it doesn't take anything out of them. And I think that's when they they put that kind of performance. So it's quite strange when you have quite an amazing result. They do look quite fresh when they drop. I think it just shows the condition they were in.
And you raced it to the nest, you Mark? Am I right? Yeah.
She was on she was on a 5-day-old baby, and because we normally race roundabout.
Yeah.
But the trouble is we give them like 3 weeks off before Barcelona, so their last race was 3 weeks before. And if you leave the hens, and you have to feed them like the fat mix of the last 4 days, and 3 weeks off without a race, and also increasing their food means they start pairing together.
Right.
And so the hens, our best hens, we normally put on the nest.
Yeah.
To stop. Otherwise, you send a pigeon to Barcelona, it's hard enough without them. Within half, maybe laying, which will mean you won't get the pigeon. You're going to lose good pigeons if you do that. So, the hens, the cocks we race on with the woods.
Yeah.
So and send them to Barcelona or whatever. We've had good results with them, but the hens we just do it because we're not sure whether they're going to lay.
A lot of the like marathon flyers on the continent, especially Holland, tend to race them to the nest, don't they?
They do, yeah. But we visit some of the best flyers out there, and a lot of them are saying that they prefer them on sort of 10 days on eggs rather than a small baby.
Right.
But obviously, it worked for her that day. She was obviously very keen.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic, and you obviously put the UK on the map as well, which is brilliant.
Yeah, no, it was a great day. I think a lot of people were surprised through Europe.
Yeah. There we go.
Hopefully the pigeon will breed obviously a Barcelona pigeon for the successful buyer as well, Mark.
Yeah, let's hope so. It's not always so easy to breed directly. But with the bloodlines of that pigeon, all the grandparents have been superstars. I think as long as you believe in it and then breed out of its children, that it come out somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, no, brilliant. Well, once again, thanks, Mark.
No problem.
Thanks very much, mate. Thank you.
Thanks, then. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot.
Ta-da, Mark.
Cheers, Mark.
Bye-bye.
We'll skip on to the next one, which is Derek, who's also done the video along with Richard. Okay, great stuff. So Derek, obviously we know each other quite well, and I'm sure most people in the pigeon sport know you. And your association with Premier Stud and going back way before that. I know in recent years you've moved back to South Wales, and obviously from the conversations we've had, which you can elaborate on, you're now concentrating on really the extreme distance racing, and in particular Barcelona. So I don't know if you want to give us a bit of a background to that.
Yeah, well, as you intimated, Ian, I've probably been a very keen pigeon flyer for 50 years. No, 75, 51 years. From about 30 years ago, I was in a position to make pigeon racing almost my full-time job, and I've raced pigeons in Wales, England, Belgium, Holland, China, and America.
Bloody hell.
So, and all those places, either with partners or on my own, I've enjoyed every minute of it, and I've probably won just about everything there is to win, except some proper races over 550 miles. And the biggest and best race in the world, bar none, is Barcelona. So I haven't even been able to send a pigeon to Barcelona yet, but I've come back to South Wales after COVID, when the Chinese pigeon game just collapsed for a minute. So came back to South Wales, started to build on a place that I bought 25 years ago. And I'm just building a pigeon racing setup to try and win Barcelona. It's a long road just to get a team of pigeons good enough to send, never mind win. And I'm still 3 or 4 years away from it, but we'll try it.
But yeah, so, I think that's great that, you've acknowledged how difficult it is, because not everything comes easy, I suppose, in this sport, does it? And that's sometimes people think, it's a matter of getting the birds and it'll happen, but it's a long road to success, isn't it? I know, even though you acknowledge you're perhaps a couple of years away from competing at Barcelona, you still, in the last couple of years, I know through the Welsh Continental Classic Club, which you're a member of, where we duplicate back from the NFC, you've put up some fantastic performances from a number of the channel races, including POW. Do you want to perhaps give a bit of background on that?
I've every race, Grand National race in the National Flying Club, I am willing to send every pigeon I've got, yearlings included. It's the only way to truly find true long distance pigeons, and the wastage rate will be horrendous because most pigeons can't fly 600 miles. It's as simple as that. We can only start by saying pedigree is important. Their parents must have done it. Their grandparents must have done it. It's no good trying to find a few pigeons that's flown up and down the M4 at 150 miles and then say, we're going to try and win 600 miles from them. You are joking. They're a different breed. They're a completely different species. Yeah. Along this pigeon. And they should be prized because they're so rare. And that's fine. And they're very expensive. If you want to go and buy any type of Barcelona winner, you're in big trouble. I bought a good Barcelona range 3 years ago, which bred the big national winner for me last year. And her sister, the full sister, won the Barcelona International Hens race in Belgium in 2025, and it came up for sale. Now, I could lay my hands on a few quid, but I tried to buy the pigeon and I got blown out the water at 5 figures, and it was approaching 6. That's the sort of money you need to buy these pigeons. And if you can't compete with the Chinese, forget it. You just got to get your... It's a lot easier if you can buy those pigeons to build a team. If you've got to come down a pedigree or two, it's a bit harder. And that's what you got to do. And you got to find your chances when they're available. I know many millionaires who've been in the pigeon game at short distance, middle distance, long distance. It's not going to just throw money at it. That don't work. A lot of really hard work and a lot of luck.
Yeah.
So, Derek, Ian's just put up your pedigree for your pigeon that you're gonna obviously donate. So, where did you source the pigeons from when you decided you were going to go to Barcelona?
Okay, Gelama has the best record from Barcelona in the last 10 years. Now, I'm a firm believer that there are no new pigeons. There's no new breeds. There's no new families. Gelama's pigeons are all from the north of Holland. It's been the same pigeon since the war. They're all pigeons which have been tested out to Barcelona by various household names since the war. that somebody does well when no one put their name against it, it becomes a Jella man. The same pigeons that Jan Adden and so many others have been using. So that's it. That's what you want. You want that sort of pigeon that's been tested from the distance by many generations of pigeon men and pigeons. So, okay, Jella man. I also knew an old friend of mine, Dean Pallett, had spent a fortune with him. And through domestic circumstances, he was never able to race the pigeons at the distance. And he actually said to me, Dale, if you're going to have a go at Barcelona, do us both a favour. Come here and I will sell you my entire race team, which amounted to 150 pigeons, if you make me a fair offer. I won't tell you what it was. And we had a deal, and I bought every single pigeon in his race team. I brought them back to South Wales. I thought, right, what am I going to do? Break them in? Or do I think they're good enough just to put the old lot into stock? Which is what I did, and they're still there now. And that's where I breed the pigeons from. Apart from, that's the nucleus. Apart from that, I've bought one or two really nice pigeons on the likes of Pippa. The N, that's the mother of this youngster in the sale, was a proven pigeon that won from Barcelona. Well, certainly top 2% of the international. And as I said, the sister went on to win the international race last year. You've got to aim as high as you can for a good foundation. The big winner that's bred this youngster for sale, she's in the stock loft now. After she was fifth section tab, 600 miles as a yearling. As a 2-year-old, she won the BIC from only 280 miles. So fast enough to win a shortish race. But a week after the BIC race, a goshawk chased her around my loft for 6 or 7 minutes. She ended up flying into the side of the loft to get away from this goshawk. And her wing is almost fully repaired now, but she's never going to race again. She's now moved into the stock loft, and that's modern pigeon racing. The Raptors are driving me mad.
Yeah. So, Derek, the point you made about having the right tools for the job, I think, is what essentially you're saying. And I mean, you touched on the fact that how expensive these extreme distance pigeons are, for obvious reasons. But there's an opportunity here for somebody to buy something from proven breeders and proven racers, basically, isn't it? For anybody who's interested in those extreme distances, this pigeon's there for it, really.
Yeah, and you could expect this pigeon, with a bit of luck, to be well enough bred to fly Barcelona with distinction. However, as the mother proved, it's not exclusively Barcelona. The race she won, the BIC race, 300 guys sending 5,000 pigeons to 265 miles. That's a not a race, and fast enough to win that, even though she'd won from tabs the year before as a yearling, 600 miles.
Yeah,
and you can turn long distance pigeons into middle distance pigeons. You can't turn short distance pigeons into long distance pigeons. You're just going to lose them. Yeah. And if you want to win races, that's no problem. Go and buy some good sprinters. There's plenty of them about, and they don't cost a great deal of money. Long distance pigeons, genuine ones, that is a different ball game. And if you want to win them, you just better be selective in what you're keeping.
Yeah. Just looking at this pedigree, obviously the parents, you know very well that the cock has obviously bred, cost you a pretty penny. He's bred some top pigeons for you. The hen is a proven racer. But looking further back at the grandparents, I mean, all the top names of all the kind of famous long distance pigeons on the continent are in there, aren't they? Just looking at this new laureate, Clyde Jade, Romay.
Most of the Barcelona winners of the last 3 or 4 years, they contain them pigeons.
Yeah.
Clyde Jade, they're legends in it. And hopefully, I can get a couple of Barcelona pigeons over here. I haven't done it yet, but I'm in a position where that's all. My only focus is to try and do that.
Yeah. So
you guys will get a few more kids in it through this lot, and they'll have something to aim for too.
Yeah, that's right. That's great. So what are these pigeons like then, Derek? They small pigeons? I mean, how would you compare them to like the birds you raced in the past?
Right. These are. I'm a bit of a cycling fan, and I'm a bit of an athletics fan, and this is real easy. If you look at Linford Christie or Usain Bolt, you're looking at a proper sprint specimen. That's the same for Nicholls, better than Bolt, Supersonic Mike, great sprint pigeons. They're muscles, they're big, they're powerful. stamina is a bit limited. So, Jellama, you are now looking at Mo Farah, a small, spindly little guy who just does not know when to stop.
Yeah.
And the best endurance sport in the world is the Tour de France. If you look at those guys when they get off their bike, they're about 9 stone sopping wet. There is nothing of them. Because if you really got to keep going, you can't have all that bulk about you. Same with pigeons. Big uns, they're sprinters. Small uns, they're Barcelona pigeons.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you, Derek. John, I don't know if you've got any questions you want to ask Derek?
No, I'm just looking at the pedigree. Like it's full of international Barcelona pigeons, isn't it? You know, you're not going to get much better than that. And on behalf of Pigeon Pathways, Derek, thanks very much for donating the pigeon. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure, guys. Keep up the good work. Best of luck.
Cheers, Derek.
Thanks
all the
very
best,
much,
mate.
Derek.
Thanks,
Cheers,
guys.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Right, good evening, Rich. Thanks for joining us tonight on this. So as you know, Rich, you've agreed to donate a pigeon to the Pigeon Pathways auction, which is absolutely fantastic, and all 4 of us are greatly thankful for you doing that. I was just wondering if you could just maybe just give us a bit of a background on the pigeon that you're going to donate, and maybe just a little background to obviously what type of racing you like, and obviously some highlights from your racing.
Yeah. So I'll just tell you a bit about myself and my family, etc. So we're solely now just long distance pigeon flyers. So anything between we do get them 350 and over, but really we specialise in 500 to 800 miles. So from Bordeaux to us into the Midlands to Barcelona now. So yeah, we've focused on that. Goes back to when my dad won the Midland National back in 1997 from Bordeaux. And then, we kind of got the bug as a family. Me and my brother started up in 1999 and did really well in the Midland Nationals, Bordeaux level, again, 553 miles. And then now I've got my own pigeons at my house. So I am part of the Chambers family, but the Chambers family loft's a bit too far for me now to go every day. So I decided during lockdown to set a little loft up where I am. And it is a really small loft. So it meant that we didn't have to, travel over to Cannock where they are, which is about probably an hour round trip there and back, which is fine on the odd day. But when you're doing it every day, it's quite, can get quite difficult, especially now I've got a young family, etc. So got the pigeons here. So last couple of years we've done all right. At this loft here, we've won a couple of RPRA awards at regional level. We've won the 250 miles and over middle distance category for the last 2 years here, and this year we won 0 to 800 miles in the all-round performance. So yeah, we've got a good strain of pigeons. My pigeons and the Chambers family pigeons are the same. Nyon, there's a few that I've brought in, but they are the same stock loft. We share the same stock loft. But the pigeon that I've donated here is a combination of one that I bought in myself, and then also one that we bought as a family a couple of years ago. So the cock on this, as you can see, is a pigeon called Son of Chesney. Well, Chesney was a pigeon, as you can see on here, the reason they called it Chesney because it's the one and only, apparently. So there was 2 pigeons, a joint breeding programme. When Champion Legacy, which was first Open National Flying Club Tarbs, was paired to the Proof, which was 2nd and 3rd Tarbs. So they put the pigeons together and they got a pigeon each. And Chesney, which is the GB10 cock, was the only one that really was left. I think she died or something happened to the other pigeon, but he's the only one. So they called him Chesney. So that pigeon we got there, we bought it off HP Archibald in a couple of his sales. So that's down from the Proof, down from Champion Legacy. And we've got a checker-pied cock in the pen at the moment at my house called Son of Chesney. And when Chesney was paired up to a daughter of the Proof, so there's a bit of inbreeding going on there, which is probably why the pieds come out in them. But as you can see from the cock side, it's all Barcelona and Tarbs. It's all extreme distance pigeons. why we bought this Son of Chesney is because we had another pigeon that was a half sister to the Proof. We bought that again in HP Archibald sale, and I had stupidly, I was rushing around after work one day, and I eventually sent it to a race by mistake. So I've only got a small loft and all the stock lived together. But she bred my 2 section winners in the BICC, and this year last year I had a pigeon from Barcelona, 795 miles, and then this year I sent him back and we had him in race time in 4 days, and that's 795. And he is also a half. His mom was the half sister to the Proof, so we don't have that anymore. So this is the closest thing that I've got that can breed the Barcelona pigeons, again going back through the Proof. So yeah, the Proof pigeons in my loft have been seriously good. The hen bred 5 pigeons, one with timing from Barcelona, and the 2 others of them we topped the section in the BICC, so they've been really prominent in this loft. And then what I've got at the bottom, if you look at the dark checker hen, we bought this pigeon from the Pigeon Winters up in Hull, towards Hull, and Goole actually they're from, and they got a pigeon called Little Gem, which is quite a famous long distance pigeon. If any of you guys are into long distance, you know that Little Gem pigeons were, you just couldn't get them at one stage. So when those guys, unfortunately the dad died and they sold their pigeons, we was able to acquire this hen. Now she's a daughter of Little Gem, which was a dark checker cock, again first open and 14th open tarbs, flying 728 miles up into the Humber estuary. And then what they did, they managed to get a hen from a pigeon called the Cass, which was first Barcelona International Ace back in 2009-2010. Now that pigeon, the reason why they got it was because it had no ring on. So they knew it was from, because they went to the fancier itself and they brought the pigeon from it. So it's when Little Gem is paired to a daughter of first international Barcelona Ace pigeon, that bred the daughter of Little Gem. Now that hen this year, she's bred my Poe, the one I had back from Poe International. And this year was pretty hard. It was a really, really hot Poe. And the cock was sent. And we had him back after about 4 days, but it was really tough. There was no pigeons in at all. We'd stripped the clock down, to be fair, because they just stopped coming after like 3 days. So obviously later on, as we know, the pigeons return. And this cock, 68 cock, returned for me after that. But he was really, quite down. So he's going to be my Barcelona entry this year. So the pedigree, you can see the cock that it's out of is Son of Chesney through the Proof lines, which bred that is a relative of the pigeon that I timed in from Barcelona this year. And the hen out of the Little Gem pigeons is the bred the pigeon that is my entry for Barcelona this year. And hopefully, Barcelona's a long way to us. Hopefully we get that through. But yeah, these pigeons, I've got lots of pigeons in the pen. They all score from middle distance upwards. They always get the loads of section positions. All these pigeons get section positions in the BBC, BICC, National Flying Club. And I only race like 48 cocks. I think last year I got 32 prize cards from those 2 races, from those 3 clubs. Sorry, from the National, from the BIC and the BICC, and they're all middle distance. So out of those 42 pigeons last year, we managed to send to 16 channel races. Every single week we were sending these races, and these are the pigeons that was performing there. So yeah, these pigeons are in my pen. They're out my race pigeons, and I haven't got enough room to breed stuff that I don't think is going to be any good, if that makes sense. They have to have performed, or out of pigeons that perform. So Pigeon Pathways is, I think, it's a good cause. I think we need to try and do something to try and promote the sport. We've tried other areas in the past. I was involved in that in a previous role. So yeah, anything that we can do, both myself and the Chambers family can do, it'd be really good to support the sale. And this is just from my loft, and I know my brother's donated a pigeon as well, which I'm sure they'll get a video on as well. So yeah, just proven long distance pigeons that turn up on the bad days, really.
The pigeon you put up obviously is bred for the distance obviously, that you race, and anyone who's interested in obviously 450 plus, it'll be an ideal addition to anyone's loft. So thanks very much for your donation, Rich, and I'm sure it'll do well in the sale.
No, I'm glad that we can help out, guys. And like I said, anything that we can do, myself and the Chambers family, we're more than happy to help out wherever we can. So,
cheers, Rich.
So lot 4 on the list here is one donated by John Wheatcroft. I think everybody knows John Wheatcroft in the pigeon racing world. As you know, bred hundreds of winners for different people over the years, John, including myself, actually. He's generously donated and said that whoever buys the pigeon can come along and have they pick from the sprint to middle distance families.
Yeah, because if you speak to anyone, even on the continent, about John, obviously they know his name. John knows a lot of fancies on the continent, and I think he's invested heavily in some of the top, obviously, European lofts, Holland, Belgium, etc., to get a family of pigeons. So I think that will grace any loft, won't it? Whether it's obviously sprint or middle.
Yeah,
that'll be a great acquisition for anybody who's looking to improve.
Yeah.
Obviously, the next one, Loft 5, Booth and Roper. Don't really know much about these guys, eh?
Booth and Roper, tremendous fanciers. They're based, I think it's near Worcester area. And they predominantly concentrate on long distance racing in the National Flying Club, Midlands National, BIC, BBC, Central Southern Classic, etc. And they're a loft although I don't race the channel myself nowadays, they're a loft I always look out for on the results. Both partners are brilliant blokes, Trevor and John. I've been in a company a couple of times, and yeah, really enjoy them. And they're generous people, which I'm sure will give people a good pigeon. I mean, their performances from over the channel, are tremendous, to be honest with you. They're not a large loft by any means, but they've put up some fantastic performances, including winning the Langstone Gold Cup with the National Flying Club. So yeah, top distance loft. And if you want distance pigeons, this is a loft I'd go to.
Yeah, because looking at obviously the national, you've got the NFC, the MNFC, BIC, BBC, Central Southern Classic. They are big races to win, aren't they? And obviously just that brief description you've got there, obviously the one NFC Section J from Tarbes twice, to win it once is hard enough, but to win it twice is absolutely fantastic. Yeah, so anyone looking to, as Tarbes as their target race, how far would Tarbes be to them? Probably 650, 660?
I'd say around 630 mark, probably around that distance,
yeah.
John, but I'm not 100% confident on that.
Yeah, because it's probably about 80 miles Worcester from us to Worcester, and I fly 7:10 from Tarbes, so around about 6:30, which obviously is phenomenal. To do it twice is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, fantastic.
So again, another fantastic donation.
Yeah. And lot 6 is a loft which is, famous loft really, I suppose, definitely in South Wales. Don't live that far from me. Preece brothers and Lovell. Lovell joined the partnership fairly recently in the last couple of years, but Preece brothers, they've been winning for decades. I think I'm right in saying that they've won nationals into Wales from all different directions, north, southeast, south. Any option, any direction we've raced into Wales, I think I'm right in saying they've won a national, and they've donated a young bird, which will be a third round from 2 cracking pigeons, a 2019 pigeon with Grizzlecock, which is bred from a Merit Award winner, crossed with an RPRA Award winner, and the pedigrees will be on the website. And the dam, Gwasted Tyke, is a first fed winner, a first Welsh South Road national, and went greater distance from Poitiers, which was also 7th West section of the BACC. So, this is a tremendous lot, really, for somebody, again, who's looking to fly the distance. You won't go far wrong.
Yeah, just say 500 miles. It takes a special pigeon to fly 500 miles, doesn't it? It's certainly got to have guts, and obviously a love for home. So again, another brilliant addition for anyone looking for 500-mile pigeons.
Yeah, definitely agree, John.
The next one, Nigel. I think everyone knows the name of Nigel Laycock. Obviously it's from his Leo Herman's base birds. The sire was Champion Ace Pigeon, North East Provincial 2020. And the dam is from the original Brian Johnson's birds through that Sapphire pair.
Yeah.
These pigeons are responsible for many winners. Obviously Nigel's not from my area, so I don't know sort of his background on his performances, but obviously his name's synonymous with pigeon racing, so everyone will understand the quality of the pigeons from Nigel.
Yeah, again, Nigel's been winning for decades. And looking at that lot again, people won't go far wrong, I think, with that.
Yeah, the next one from Brian Holland, I think this tickles my fancy, this one, because it's got all the Tarbes winners in it. If you're looking for Tarbes pigeons, there's no better pigeons from Tarbes. It's got a mixture of, obviously, Isla's Rainy Day Boy, which I think was the international winner.
Yeah.
Legacy, obviously, not only did it win from Tarbes, I think it's breeding winners and winners for Tarbes and Channel pigeons all over. So that the pedigree of that pigeon is amazing.
Yeah. And you also see Noble Dream, the other international winner in the pedigree as well, John. I think it's the dam of the sire of the lot that Brian's donated.
Obviously, no Noble Dream was Ant Besant, wasn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
I don't know his dad's. I can't think of his dad's name, but yeah, they were the Besants from there. Obviously, lot 9 is from my neck of the woods, Jones and Thomas. This loft over the years has been phenomenal. As I say, we just to give a bit of context, there was one year that the Neort, and that used to be our race over 500 miles. I think it was 5:02 or something like that. And the pigeons with the Northwest Combine had been held over, I think, 7 days in the panniers because of the weather, and they were released. I think it was a midweek race.
Yeah.
And I think Robbie had the only 2 pigeons on the night out of the whole combine. Not only that, he had the next 2 the next morning. So I think he was officially first, second, third, fourth combine, and others struggled to get pigeons home on that. Obviously, the day of the race and also the following, and the pigeons that come through that day were brilliant. But I actually went and handled the winner on the night just to verify it, and that pigeon was immaculate. You would never ever thought in a million years that pigeon was in the basket for 7 days. It was, and obviously, why I was on my way to verify it, he got another one. And I think out of maybe 14 pigeons, he had 13 back up to 14, and the other one was reported dead. When he's the only fancier, I think, in the Northwest Combine to top the 3 times in 1 year. But
brilliant performance.
He's definitely obviously it's Jones and Thomas, the partnership. Carl was his partner who passed away recently. Well, it was a few years ago now, but there's the knocking on the door of the NFC and the MNFC. I think he's won the section a few times. I think he was second open to John Crean on a really tough day. I think John Crean just about beat him, flying roughly the same distances. And I don't think it'll be too long before he does top the NFC or the MNFC. It's going to be one of them. Obviously, he's coming up for retirement, Robbie. So people better watch out, because he's done all this while he's been working as well.
Wow. Yeah.
So obviously the next one is donated by Alan Shinton.
Yeah, I think you're probably better off speaking about the next couple of lots, really, John, because they're from your area, aren't they?
So obviously I know Alan really well, and he's invested heavily over the years in pigeons.
This is Alan Shinton, yeah?
Yeah, Alan Shinton. So he's got, sprint, middle and long distance pigeons there. The cost has never been spared with Alan's pigeons. He's always gone to the best ranches and always wanted the best pigeons. So the person can have a choice there. Obviously I know what type of pigeons Alan's got, and he'll allow you to just go and take the pick of the loft. Joe Lewis. Joe is actually Mickey Lock's grandson. Mickey Lock won the Tarbes race up onto the Wirral, which was for us on the Wirral absolutely amazing. So he's brought these pigeons in, and he's offering the youngster out of that pair. you know, and he's got a lot of confidence in the pair that it's gonna do well.
Good.
And
Yeah.
Les Cook, now Les is also well known around the northwest area up here. You know, he breeds pigeons for other people that win. You know, obviously on the Wirral in Liverpool, Manchester. You know, he's got a lot of contacts, Les. So he's got the Alex Docks and the Lambrecht family. He's got directs, but he's also got sons and daughters as a directs that are breeding winners. So the person can have a choice of either or there.
Good.
You know,
Good
again,
lot there.
to say, yeah, Les is obviously a very generous fancier, and I think people will do well.
Yeah.
I see Adam, G. Thomas and son Adam, we've got a short explanation by Adam himself.
Yeah, shall I, because something went wrong with the recording of Adam's interview, didn't I just give a bit of background on the Loft, John?
So what I missed out was basically the history of the partnership.
Yeah, so G. Thomas and son of Adam is a very good friend of mine. He's the son of the partnership. Graham sadly passed away a couple of years ago after an illness. But again, these are top flyers in South Wales. I think it says in the description there, they probably, well, they are among the very best in Wales, really. So yeah, Graham sadly passed away, but and is no longer with us. But Adam's a top flyer in his own right, and has won a national last year. Been helped enormously by his mother in recent years. Because he works full time, they wouldn't be able to do what they're doing really. So I can speak from my own. You know, most of my pigeons are from Adam's Loft, and you know he breeds some tremendous pigeons. You know, he's bred a national winner for myself. He's bred loads of winners for different people, and you know, whatever you're going to get from here is going to be top quality.
Yeah. So would you say your family is a multi-distance family then?
Yeah, generally when we buy pigeons in, you know, I like all-round pigeons. Obviously with Brexit, I suppose channel opportunities have been limited over the last couple of years, but yeah, I like all-round pigeons. You know, pigeons that can win from a short distance to the long distance. I probably use our Liège National winner as a very good example. So he won the first Welsh Combine. I think it was against 6,200 pigeons. It was a very, very tough race. You know, they were doing, I think it was 10 3/4 hours, very, very strong headwinds from 400 miles. The week previous, in a tailwind, he topped the federation from Newbury, which is 89 miles against several thousand pigeons. So they are the pigeons I like, the all-rounders that can do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, so people looking to obviously buy your pigeons, they will win from the shortest to the longest.
Yes, that's our intent.
That's a great selling point, especially for fanciers and even new starters, I think, Adam, because we were hoping through Pigeon Pathways to get more people involved. You know, so they may not understand at this stage long sprint middle. So an all-round family, I think, would suit a new starter right down to the ground.
No, definitely.
Yeah. So the pigeon you're going to donate to the sale, would you mind just giving us a bit of a background to the pigeon?
Yeah, no, of course. Obviously, it's a really, really good cause. So wanted to offer something, I suppose, a little bit special for the sale. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a pair together which hasn't been paired together previously. So the father is a new introduction that we've purchased from a loft called Jan and Tom Hughes in Belgium. And it's the only child that has ever been sold from their fantastic racing hen. In my opinion, one of the best races in Belgium at the moment, a hen they call Face. Now, her performances, she's won two times first provincial. She's also won second national zone Châteauroux. She's won 7th national Châteauroux overall. She was 8th national zone Argenton. She was 13th national zone Bourges. She was 17th national Argenton. She was 23rd national Bourges. 31st national zone Bourges, 63rd national Argenton, 74th national Bourges. I think overall she's placed either 6 or 7 times in the top 90 of the Belgian national, up to 20,000 pigeons. She also comes from a fantastic line of pigeons. So her full brother bred 2nd national Bourges last year as well. Another full sister bred 1st national Argenton, 2025 as well. So yeah, there's winners every generation, and again, they're all-round pigeons. You know, they win from the short distance. Another brother bred the 2nd national ace pigeon short distance speed in Belgium as well. So you know, they can do a little bit of everything, you know, generally headwinds and being pushed a little bit further than at their best, but I think they complement our pigeons really well.
So how did you come across these fanciers then? Obviously being in Belgium, did you do your research? It's just for mainly for somebody who's coming into the sport and they want to obviously purchase pigeons, you know, maybe just a bit of background on how you do it.
Yeah, so I'm always studying results. Probably as I've got a little bit older, not as often as I'd like. You know, I think when I was maybe 10 years ago, I was quite obsessed with always looking at Belgian results, Dutch pigeon results on a weekly basis. So they almost got a little bit of a hobby, really, just try to identify new lofts and almost be the first, I suppose, to try and spot the next up and coming name. And I always think, to be honest, John, you know, when you're one of the first day, you generally not only do you get the best pigeons from the loft, but you get it at the best price as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, we always try. So I always study results. You know, what I'm looking for is prizes initially. So, for example, if a loft has sent 3 or 4 pigeons and have had 100% prizes at the top of the result, you know, that's obviously a very good loft sending few pigeons with a very high percentage, you know, as opposed to a loft that maybe sent 90 pigeons with 2 prizes. Then, you know, they might have the winner, but overall, you know, to me, that's quite a poor performance overall. So we're always looking for that smaller loft that are not sending many pigeons. I mean, if I reference Jan and Tom Hughes, for example, they only race hens. So generally they start the season with about 20 to 25 racing hens. And they obviously fly the full campaign with those hens. I think they have around about 50 to 60 youngsters, which in Belgium terms is quite small.
Yeah.
But they select really, really strongly. You know, they don't have, I think, maybe 8 breeding pairs in total. So yeah, you know, I to be honest, I saw a lot of similarities with myself and my father. Obviously, it's a father-son partnership, and you know, it's generation of winners. You know, they go back. If you look in every generation, they're big winners against many thousands of pigeons, and they're the ones, like I say, that we look for.
Yeah, because I think obviously when you're talking to new starters, they think, oh, they need a 60-foot loft, they need hundreds of pigeons to even compete. But obviously, just as you've outlined there, these guys are small team fanciers, and they can still hold their own.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to visit the loft a couple of weeks ago, actually, and yeah, the quality is fantastic. You know, they're small to medium type pigeons. You know, I think as I mentioned earlier, we only loft fly once per day. That's all I've got time for really with work. So I need smaller to medium sized pigeons, easy to condition at the start of the season, as opposed to bigger pigeons that take a while to build up that racing condition. So yeah, you know, it ticked a lot of boxes for us really.
So would that be a good bit of advice for new starters and even novices, you know, people who are struggling, is to get the type of pigeon that suits your lifestyle, i.e. go to fanciers who only let out once a day if you can only let out once a day?
100%, yeah. I think you've got to do a lot of research. I think there's so many online sales, you know, personally, I prefer the old-fashioned approach, you know, visiting the fancier or going to the auction sale room, you know, if it's an entire clearance sale, obviously the fancier is selling their best pigeons. And actually handle the pigeons. You know, I've bought pigeons online before, and sometimes what arrives isn't what you expect it to be. So I think, yeah, you know, study results, visit the fanciers as well. You know, I think that's how you learn. I think we're always learning every day. You know, I speak for myself. I'm always learning in the pigeon loft. But yeah, you know, do it the old-fashioned way. Visit the lofts, handle the pigeons, and then make a selection. But certainly, you know, go to fanciers that kind of fit your system. You know, like I say, reference earlier, you know, I couldn't go to a loft that, you know, has to drive and train their pigeons twice per day. They're big pigeons. I could never get them into condition. So yeah, I think it's really good advice, and that's what I would do if I was a new starter.
Yeah. It makes sense, and that could stop people obviously making all them mistakes at the start, because I think people who come into the sport, they can get disheartened really easily. But that type of advice, that's invaluable. You know, that's an excellent piece of advice for new starters. That is, you know.
Yeah, and I think as well, John, just to add, really, when you're buying pigeons, obviously there are very few really good pigeons out there as well. You know, if you buy 6 to 8 pigeons from a fancier, if you give one really good one, then you're doing really well. You know, the percentages are so low, you know, in terms of good pigeons. And I think everyone thinks they've got good pigeons. And I think very few fanciers actually really do have good pigeons. So yeah, you know, I think it's so easy to buy pigeons and be down on, you know, me and my dad have visited so many famous lofts, and I would never disrespect the names that we've bought pigeons off, and haven't been successful with. That is the luck of the draw. I think you do need a little bit of luck in pigeons sometimes, but there are very few good pigeons out there. So yeah, I think you've got just got to do it sensibly and as educated as possible when you're buying something in.
Yeah, but I think that's a little nugget, that is, to try and get fanciers who's obviously are similar to yourself, small setup, and say if you work long hours and you can't get them out twice, you need to go to a fancy who's winning but only let out once a day.
Yeah.
And I think that could be like a light bulb moment for people that, that's something I've never really thought of in depth until you've mentioned it. So that's great. But we, from Pigeon Pathways, we appreciate obviously the pigeon you've put up. That sounds a fantastic pigeon. Whoever gets it, will have the basis of a decent line of multi-distance pigeons.
Yeah, and I'm hoping, obviously.
Have you covered the hen side, Adam? Have you covered?
I was going to say, yeah, the mother of the youngster that we're going to donate actually is a national winner herself. So she flew last season as a young bird. She won first national Maidstone in the Southeast National. So we've got her. Her parents are fantastic pigeons as well. I mean, the father, I think he's bred 9 or 10 first prize winners. He's any hen we paid into, he generally breeds winners himself. So yeah, we've obviously got the father, which is from Jan and Tom Hughes, direct from Face, and the mother of the youngster is a first national winner herself. So
and Adam, just picking up on obviously what you said in terms of not working these birds hard. Obviously, I've got a bit of knowledge about last year's national winner, but just to give some people the opportunity to understand how much work these pigeons don't require, a bit of background perhaps on exactly what kind of work she had leading up to the national win.
Yeah, so I was a little bit behind this year with work and everything else. So actually, this hen we trained. From memory, I want to say it was about 15 training tosses before we sent to the first race. So our first race, I say technically wasn't an official race. So I actually sent to the West Wales Federation. And I'm very grateful to that federation for actually allowing me to send. So the first loft from us is about 15 miles west of us. And it goes all the way down to the bottom of West Wales. So it was a bit of a culture shock for my pigeons. Obviously, they hadn't mixed too often with any other pigeons. So they were actually home in all day and early next morning. So it was a little bit of a culture shock for those pigeons, but they learned a hell of a lot. They were coming up from the west all day. And following that, they did take a couple of days to recover. Some of them were very tired. I actually had to miss the following race, which was going to be our first official race, which was Epsom. Following the Newbury race with the West Wales, they actually come down with a fat eye. So we couldn't send to that particular race. We had to recover. Obviously, I wouldn't send the pigeons in that condition. It took them about, say, just over a week to recover. And I then trained the pigeons every day to Newport in all weather. There were sometimes they were coming home in thunderstorms because I knew they were going to struggle. Maidstone is to us, I think it's about 172 miles. So that's a hell of a jump from Newbury, which was 90 miles, to 172 miles. So yeah, we trained every single day. Obviously, as I referenced, I don't normally train the pigeons in the car, but obviously I recognised the lack of experience of these pigeons. So they went every single day leading up to the Maidstone race. Unfortunately, on the day, obviously, we were lucky enough with that hen to actually win the national. So yeah, I think she's a really, really good pigeon. And I think she should fit in well with this cock. And hopefully they'll breed some really, really good youngsters. So yeah, I mean, like I say, she comes down from a long line of winners anyway, national ace pigeons. The father, her father raced himself in Holland. Like I say, he's bred 9, 10 first prizes for us as well. The mother we bought from Falco Eben, and she's a full sister of Paulina. She's a national ace pigeon in Holland herself. So there's winners in every generation of the pedigree.
So when do you think your pigeon will be available?
Yeah, so what we normally do, John, my first round of the stock goes under the race cocks, second round under the hens. It's probably something I didn't even cover on the call, but I think from a youngster's point of view, I like most of my youngsters to be a similar age. So I generally, within 6 weeks of each other, they're all the same age, and you don't have that, a first round dragging that, and vice versa. You haven't got them all mixed ages. Yeah. So yeah, by the time my stock birds are bred the third round, they'll be parted for about 10 days, and then I'll pair this couple together. So you're probably looking at maybe on the safe side, I'd say June, but it could be
Okay.
Could be end of May. So
yeah, that's fantastic. Thanks very much.
Cheers, Adam, mate. I'll speak to you tomorrow.
no, that's okay. Yeah, thanks both. Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for that.
Thanks, Adam. Yeah, as I say, the pedigree speaks for itself, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, you're not getting on a day-to-day basis. You're not getting them pigeons. So for a sale, you know, it's your opportunity to purchase a pigeon like that. With obviously with the funds going back into the sport.
The next lot is donated by Les Green, and I mean Les Green is famous throughout the pigeon world, not just in the UK. Been a top fancier again for decades. And Les again has kindly offered a youngster from 2026 ready at the end of April, so plenty of time for racing this one, lads and lasses. The sire is a Belgian rung pigeon, Beauty Nico, and he's a direct son of Luke and Nicole Vivort's Ace N Nicole, who's a super breeder, and mother of first ace pigeon. So, you know, the sire of this pigeon is a top pigeon. The dam, which is called Sister Ace 111, which again is bred by bred by Luke Vivort. And that's a full sister to an ace pigeon. So yeah, tremendous offer this. And I'm sure whoever buys this pigeon will, you know, be able to breed winners, or if they keep in a stock loft, or if they race, I'm sure will do very well.
Yeah, them Vivort pigeons are doing quite well around on the world. Anyway, I know a couple of fanciers have got them pigeons, and they do really well. I think one of them, the Vivort pigeons, won the RPRA Loft race a couple of seasons ago for Frank McNamara.
Yeah, it was a black cock, John.
A blacking, yeah. And then it actually then did well in the yearling race the following year as well.
I think it was third, in the final. Yeah. In the yearling race as well.
First young bird and third in the yearling. So I think them pigeons are doing really well.
Yeah, at all distances as well, really, I suppose, up to like 300-400 mile.
Yeah. And the funny thing with the winner of the one Loft race, it actually went missing during the training and come back. Right. I think it was weeks later.
Yeah.
You know, and then never looked back after that point. So it's surprising what pigeons will learn when they're out on their own.
Definitely learn from it, yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. So our final lot is donated by Sunnydale Loft, which is Bentley and Cuthbert partnership, and it's bred from 2 direct central loft pigeons. The sire's got best kittle lines in its pedigree, and he's a top breeder. I mean, these have already proven themselves. They bred winners for the partnership or other people, I think. So, you know, whoever's buying this lot will again be buying something that's proven, or from a proven pair. The dam, again, as I mentioned, is bred by Central Lofts. Top pedigrees in there. Dirk Van Dyke, top sprint pigeons. Again, the kittle lines are in there. Black Bull Blizzard is in the pedigree. So yeah, you know, people have been very generous, and this lot, I'm sure, will be a good buy.
They'll definitely tickle the fancy for obviously the sprint racers amongst the fancy, you know, and obviously there is more and more sprint racers now available due to obviously most federations not going over the channel. So, and I'm sure that will tie in with Les Green's pigeon as well.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
If someone's looking for a pair, you know, that could well be a pair to have. You know, because everyone knows what the kittle pigeons are. You know, so obviously at one point there was no other pigeons around, really, was it, apart from the kittle pigeons. So
so we got a good mixture, John, haven't we? You know, whatever people want to do, sprint, middle distance, you know, long distance racing, something for everyone, and some real quality lots, you know, well, all quality lots really, and you know, it depends what your own preference is in terms of what you'd like to buy in, I suppose.
And I think it's quite poignant to say as well, if obviously we've got any members on Pigeon Pathways who are new to the sport and they're looking for pigeons, you know, this is going to set you up on the right road right from the start. You know, you can probably bypass a lot of a lot of heartache, a lot of disappointment
Yeah.
if you go for pigeons of this quality from the start. So, you know, if there is anyone looking in who's just started or whatever, really, if your budget allows, have a look at these pigeons.
Yeah, I'd echo that, John.
Because you're not going to get a chance to get these pigeons because obviously fanciers have donated them for the great cause. You know, helping Pigeon Pathways to get on the road as well.
Pigeon Pathways, basically it exists to protect and promote the historic and cultural contribution that pigeon racing has made in the United Kingdom. And an important part of our work is educating the public about this heritage, while also raising awareness that the sport still exists today and trying to encourage new people to become involved in pigeon keeping and racing. Pigeon Pathways is a community interest company, which means it's fully regulated by a regulator, the CIC regulator. It's registered with Companies House and everything. This means the organisation is run solely for community benefit. So no individuals, either myself, John, or any other members of Pigeon Pathways can profit from the company. And all funds raised are reinvested directly into supporting our aims and objectives, which I mentioned earlier. The organisation is run entirely by volunteers like myself, John, and John. We rely on fundraising and the generosity of supporters to carry out its work. Although we're still very much in the early stages of Pigeon Pathways, it's only launched in the last 12 months. We've already got exciting plans in place. And this year we intend to attend 2 major national countryside shows with a mobile pigeon loft, which has been kindly built and donated by Eco Lofts. And we'll have live pigeons in the loft, just as a gentle way of introducing the public to the sport. And as exciting part of our work we're doing, we've recently started working with a university to develop a virtual reality experience that will allow people to experience pigeon keeping and racing in engaging and educational way. So especially younger people using virtual reality these days. So we think it'll be a great tool of taking along to schools and in general of showing people what's involved in pigeon racing. So that's basically it about Pigeon Pathways. And I'd just like to thank all the donors who have contributed. There's some brilliant pigeons in the auction.
There's something for everybody. And good luck with all the bidders. And once again, thanks very much to all the donors and Les and John for hosting the sale for us. You know, really appreciated by us all.
Great, John. I think that'll do it, won't it?